Welcome to our update on the St. Louis Reparations Commission. And we're just going to give you a really brief review of the things that we've done with our working groups, particularly the health education, and then the Dr. Cunningham, you're going to have the which two?
Yeah, on state violence and on jobs in the economy, and also the baseline section on enslavement in St. Louis. I've been working with that group too.
Okay. So if you want, Professor Cunningham, you can go first.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, as a baseline, I can say that all three of these groups have been proceeding really well. And I can just quickly go through. For jobs in the economy, we've had Adia Harvey Wingfield and Jake Rosenfeld, who are both in the sociology department at WashU, and then Ifeanyi Ukbaki, who is at UMSL, have all been working on jobs in the economy. They just sent me a revised draft earlier today that's in really, really polished shape at this point. And I think the main work that we're going to need to do is think about condensing it to at some level. At this point, it's about 8 pages single spaced, which I know is a little bit longer than we want to be at. But it's nice to be in a position where condensing is the main goal there. We're in similarly good shape with the state violence group. Ashley Jackson, who was a PhD student at WashU, but now is a professor at Rutgers, has been working with Andrea Boyles, who's a St. Louis native and is now a sociology professor at Tulane in New Orleans. And they've been doing a lot of work on the state violence section that also reads quite well. We talked about some revisions with that, especially to talk about the consequences of historical state violence as it relates to community trust in the police and implications like that. They've just added a section on that. And again, I think we're going to have to do some condensing because it's a bit long now, but it reads quite well. And I think is at least in a draft sense, is in really good shape. And I also the enslavement in St. Louis section, which is intended to be a bit longer. It's really foundational to all the other sections of the report, has been coming together well too. That's been Kelly Schmidt, who's associate director of the WashU and Slavery Project, has really been taking the lead in drafting that out alongside Jeff Ward, who's in African American Studies at WashU and directs WashU and Slavery. We've also been interfacing with Kenneth Wynn, who's a historian who's writing a book about enslavement in St. Louis. And he is willing to be, especially when the draft is kind of fully fleshed out, to be a reader for us. He's certainly someone who's very deeply versed in the primary data sources here and all, and will be able to help us certainly with factual matters, but also with interpretive matters with that. That section is going to need a little bit more time. Jeff Ward has been out of the country for a period of time, and I think his additions to the section will come next week. But I think over the next couple of weeks, that'll be in shape as well. And so the main thing I think all three of these sections are going to need is probably circling back with our working group, Dr. Ross and with Kayla Reed, to really think about how best to do that condensing in a way that can bring in other feedback to the extent that we want to have that process. But in terms of progress, I think all of these sections are in really good shape at this point.
That's great. You know, I have a similar presentation about the extent of the report. So the health report is going well with Dr. Maddie Davis, director of the St. Louis Board of Health, myself, obviously, Daryl Hudson from St. Louis, from WashU Brown School, who's actually leaving, going to Michigan. So he's making his last hurrahs and making sure he's left a footprint here. And from SLU, hold on one second, I just went blank. You remember if as soon as I could get her name. Sidney Watson, who's a professor of health law at St. Louis University. So we put together a report. It's now 8 pages, but that includes some graphics that were incorporated in the most recent St. Louis um, community improvement plan that that was presented by Maddie as well as the county director of health. So we do have a lot of graphs, and we're going to have to reduce that, but it's looking great. The 8 pages, really going through the history of health in St. Louis, and we decided we're going to go back a little further and just talk about some of the metrics, outcomes in the mid 18th century, then walk through the creation of the health departments and the long history, maybe kind of regretful history of hospitals in St. Louis. And then we're going to talk about the some of the health outcomes, and then mostly what do we need. We didn't want to go too far in terms of recommendations, but we're going to end up saying that we're still lacking in public health funding. We're I guess in the we're actually dead last with $6 per capita compared to Washington State that has $125 per capita, and that we just simply need a respect and an infusion of resources to create the infrastructure to do public health. And so we're finishing that last 3-4 sentences. Then similarly, we'll whittle down. It probably won't make it to 5 pages. It'll probably be 6, but it'll be 6 really impactful pages. Now, regarding the education report, that's similarly going really well. Michelle Purdy at Washington University, who's in the education department, so is a professor of education, and last name, give me 1 second. Man, just went blank again. Cameron Anglem, who's assistant professor of education at St. Louis University, who's written extensively on the state of education and education outcomes. And so we have the bulk of the text already written. And that's fortunately about 5 pages without any graphs at this point. But we do need to supplement that with actual outcomes, which includes graduation rates. We're focusing on public schools now, mind you, outcomes of public graduation rates, where they're matriculating for college, and test scores where possible. We have some preliminary test scores, which are unfortunately not uplifting, showing that African American males are reading the math comprehension is 25th percentile, and similarly English proficiency, such that Black men graduating from public high schools have the reading comprehension of a white 8th grader. So the data is going to be really tough to present. It's going to be very striking, and it may hit someone as overly negative, but that is the data that's submitted to the state. So we're going to be really candid when we present this data. And so just like the public health report, we're going to end. We're not going to have any informal recommendations. That's obviously what we're going to be doing in August. But we're going to say that we have an issue with dedicated funding for public schools, a shift of funds to other schools, alternative schools. We don't want to criticize charter schools. We're going to say there's a shift, and as a consequence of shift, we have it's a zero-sum game, and we just have a lack of it's not simply a lack of proportionality with regards to funding going into the city schools. So again, it's going to be great. We're basically, with the exception of the data and those last two, a paragraph, half a paragraph, we're essentially done with those two reports. So it sounds like we'll see what Kayla has done, how far she's gone, and assuming that can actually get halfway there in the next week or two, I think that we can start pulling all of this together, as you just stated, to make sure there's a flow that is thematic, and that the reading style is consistent across all these reports. And it's going to take some editing, and we don't want to over edit it because we already have our experts drafting this. So, David, we're going to be careful about asking for an over editing. We just want to make sure that no one has any major, don't see any major problems or major issues that are escaped inclusion in the report. So, okay. Okay, Reverend Anthony, how are you? Professor Cunningham and I just kind of gave a review of the reports that we've been working on, and they're going well. We both have reports that are exceeding 5 pages, so we're going to have to do some editing. That's the good news, that we actually have such excitement around the writers that we can get all the data there. It's better to review and cut material that's somewhat ancillary than to sit there and worry that we include everything. So I think that so far things are looking good, and we hope to have all these reports. I had hoped to have all these reports compiled by the 1st of July. That probably is not going to happen. And so we're going to have to consider mid-July. And we're going to have a hard stop there, David. If we really want to ensure that we have time to spend a lot of time on the recommendations and get a lot of feedback from the full commission on those recommendations. So I hope we can. I'll convey that to Kayla, that you and I have we're pretty much up to speed. We just need a hard stop by mid-July.
Yeah, that sounds great. I agree with the hard stop. I think it'll be really helpful to be able to pivot fully to recommendations.
Yep. Okay. Any questions, Will or Reverend Anthony?
No, not at this time. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, we were just talking about the time. The timing wasn't really set, or it wasn't really the timing wasn't shared widely, which is why we all kind of were wondering what's happening. But I think it's good for David and I to share that and start synthesizing what we're doing based on the feedback that I got from you, David, and hopefully you got it from me about this. Okay. So the next meeting, we'll again want to make sure we have that next meeting. Just looking at the calendar, give me 1 second. I see us July 10th. Now, that's going into the second week, and so we're going to have to. It's already July 24th. So I don't see anything for I do see on Wednesday, July 3rd, that we have a meeting, David. At least it's on my calendar.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have it on my calendar right now, but that makes sense for our that would be our working group meeting, right?
Yeah, working group.
Okay. Yeah. I think that'd be a great time for us to circle back.
Okay, well, I will send Kayla this and Dealer those dates. I hope we can get that confirmed, get that posted so we can really knock this out of the ball field as quickly as possible. Okay, that sounds good.
I think I can give a quick update on the community engagement group.
Sure.
So we've been meeting weekly and have compiled, well, utilized the testimonies that we've received in our in-person meetings. So I think there was a total of 12 meetings that have been recorded in which we've pretty much dissected and parsed out any testimonies that relate to the six topic areas that we're focusing on in the report. Given that, you know, that time that the community had to kind of give those stories were limited to about 2.5 minutes, we realized that not many people had enough time to kind of divulge their entire stories or give the full narrative behind their background and experiences as relates to St. Louis and their history. We did think about providing, well, extending an opportunity for the community to share, you know, the full story in via an email. I think Delisha has reached out to Vernon to kind of get more insight into the weekly City of St. Louis newsletter that gets sent out. And in that, it's pretty much prompting for the community to share their stories via the St. Louis Commission's email by the end of the month to kind of incorporate that into our report and tag that to anything that relates to those six topic areas. For anyone on the call, if you do have anything to share, that email will be reparations-commission@stlouis-mo.gov. So if you do have any stories that you want to be included or considered for the report, feel free to send to that email address, and we'll be sure to consider that for the report and tag that to any of those six topic areas to kind of supplement the work that the working group is performing.
So Will, you mentioned that community forum, community newsletter. What specifically are you referring to?
That was something that Delisha had spoken to Vernon about. We all were very not aware of it. So I think she reached out to get that additional information for it. She's not on the call, so I don't know what came of that discussion, but I think there's a newsletter that's sent out weekly for the city of St. Louis. It just provides like different updates in the community, but I've personally never seen it. But it was mentioned to Delisha, and I think she wanted to get some more background behind it and how best we can utilize that to kind of tap into the community and get more engagement.
Okay, well, I look forward to learning more about that because I wasn't aware. I know that Mayor's office does produce weekly newsletter and update on community events. I know
I
if
think
that's,
that might be it, honestly.
yeah. So that's the only one I've seen. And it does get distributed widely. So I hope that's the one. Okay, well, I'll follow up with Kayla. We'll get the next working group meeting on for that July 3rd, day before Labor Day, July 4th. But it's gonna be so hot, we would prefer to be inside. Then we'll go from there. We will keep that July 10th meeting set up.
I think lastly, there's a question from the audience.
Sure.
Not sure how to get that, but Michael Gregory.
Yes, please.
Oh,
I'm trying to give him permission to talk. It's silly thing is not responding much. I'm gonna promote him to panelist real quick. He accepts. Here he comes.
Michael, how are you? Mr. Gregory?
Yes. Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you. Thank you
Okay.
for
Hold on
joining
one
us.
second. I'll start my video. Hold on. Okay. So, I've just been watching and I was trying to get some understanding. So there will be an in-person meeting in July, correct?
I'm sorry, yeah, that was unclear. Can you repeat that?
There will be an in-person meeting in July.
We're gonna have an in-person meeting once we actually complete the report, just so we can share and get community feedback. We haven't scheduled that,
That's what I was.
so it's either gonna be late July or early August. But yes, there will be an
Okay.
meeting.
Okay, we're just trying to opt for, but I just want to make sure that in her meeting, I watched through Zoom and everything like that.
Okay, we want to make sure we get enough community voices at that next open meeting. And we were just talking about using some other forums. I know there's a mayoral newsletter out, and there are other community newsletters that we have to tap into. I'm not familiar with those, but we will certainly appreciate you bringing to our attention what community newsletters should we be contacting.
Okay, I have some in mind, but I won't let them get until I speak to the people that edit and run those particular newsletters.
Okay, we really appreciate it.
Okay, I'm done. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to speak. I'm gonna drop back down and thank you for giving me the opportunity to raise my question. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gregory. Great. Okay, so I think that we have a tentative agenda for the 3rd and the 10th. If there are no further thoughts or concerns, we can, who is that connecting? It's Jonathan. Well, we can't hear you.
Yeah, my 2-year-old's being a 2-year-old right now. That's why I'm on mute.
Yeah, I know how it goes. So Jonathan, you probably heard that, the reports that Professor Cunningham and I are working on nearing completion. We're going to get the feedback from Kayla. I'll give her a call early tomorrow morning, and we hope to have, we hope to have these reports near completion by mid-July. So we're going to meet on July 3rd to kind of the working groups to go over the reports that we have, and then synthesize everything and hopefully have everything ready by July 10th. It's a little later than I want, but I think that will still work. So we, I guess, next we have to think about how to get this word out for our last meeting. We're going to get community voices in, and we want them to weigh in on the report that's, the preliminary report that we're working on. So we're going to be looking to you and others to find out which forums, which newsletters should we be tapping into.
Okay, I guess when we get that far, we can set up a meeting with the comms department and figure out what's. She's been running from me. I'm on Zoom. So let's just have a meeting with the comms department. But give me 1 second. I'm sorry. Yeah, we in the middle of a full. Hold on 1 second. Yeah, and we're not. You know what? Can I, Doctor? Can I just call you tomorrow? I'm gonna call you tomorrow.
Okay, yeah, please do. Yeah, family is important. Okay. Okay, we'll
All
talk
right.
tomorrow then.
Okay.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Okay, y'all. I think that concludes everything.